Hi everyone, I'm Mona. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video, I'm thrilled to talk about the most famous, legendary redhead of all time, Lucille Ball, and her favorite fragrances that she loved and wore throughout her life. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm all about legendary perfumes and legends who wore them. If that's something you're into, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. A little bit about Lucille Ball. She was born in 1911 in Pennsylvania and decided to move to New York City at the age of 15, determined to be an actress, a movie star, and um, struggled for many years in New York, just trying to make ends meet, going from job to job, living a very lonely existence, and fortunately um, found some success as a model, a clothing model for department stores here in New York City, and um, eventually decided to pick up and move to California to try her luck at acting, which definitely brought her more success in that field because she landed a contract with MGM. But unfortunately, she didn't become the glamorous movie star she dreamed of being. Um, MGM didn't really know how to promote her and what movies to place her in. They put her in comedies, um, but not the comedy that she would become famous for, which is known as slapstick comedy, which is more of a physical comedy that she became very popular for on I Love Lucy and all of her other Lucy series to come after. But we can say she was a very, very ambitious, determined, fearless Leo with a lot of Capricorn in her chart. Um, Woman that nothing and no one could stop. And she moved back to New York in the late 1940s and landed a radio show which became very popular, popular enough that the producers decided to create a sitcom after the show, which became I Love Lucy. But what made Lucille Ball so fascinating and such a pioneer was that she broke barriers with um, being the first interracial couple on television, the first pregnant woman on television, and the first woman to own and run a television studio by the end of the 1960s. Um, Even though she dreamed of being a housewife, she was way too ambitious to become just that, even though her family was very famous and she was probably her and her husband Desi, the most famous couple of all time in the 1950s. They were just that famous and that huge, um, that it compares to nothing we have on television today, that's for sure. But even after I Love Lucy was over, she remained on television for many, many years. She had 72 films under her belt, and was a producer as well up until the very end of her life. And she kept her glamorous looks all her life, her beautiful ivory complexion, apricot golden hair, and she loved glamorous things, false eyelashes, and of course, perfume. And the perfumes I'm going to talk about are three fragrances that she definitely wore, and the one is a standout as her signature scent that she wore definitely according to the pictures I've discovered in the 50s, 60s, up until the very end of her life, and that is White Shoulders by Evian. This is another American classic which was released in 1947, and it's a very floral perfume with every flower under the sun: gardenia, jasmine, tuberose, even lilac. It's a very ladylike, feminine, sweet perfume, but the sweetness comes from the flowers. And as it wears, it becomes more sensual and sexy. And I think this perfume definitely suits Lucille Ball. She had a very ladylike image, but according to people that knew her um, personally, she was very, very sexy in person, even though she had this wacky, ditzy image. She was very elegant and extremely sexy, and this perfume is just exactly that. Because at the base, we have civet and ambergris, and that comes through, and this perfume definitely becomes more sensual and sexy as it wears. So, there you have it. This is definitely her favorite scent, and at the end of her life, a few of her belongings were auctioned, and this box, this exact white box of White Shoulders dusting powder, was one of the many things that was auctioned before she or after she passed. So we definitely know she wore this perfume and loved it all the way up until the 80s, right before she passed, according to her belongings. And the next scent I want to talk about is a perfume I discovered on her vanity, um, that I pictured on my community board, and it is Friendship Garden by the House of Schulten. This perfume was released in 1939, and it's an aldehydic white floral, but it's definitely more woody and similar to Chanel number 5. But what it reminds me of is Chanel number 22, almost exactly. This perfume is creamy, sweet, aldehydic, but not as aldehydic as number 5. So um, I saw a Chanel fragrance next to this one on her vanity, an eau de cologne, huge bottle, and I could not make out if it's number 22 or Chanel number 5, but my guess would be it was probably Chanel number 22, because it's almost identical to this fragrance. Schulten was another American house that was very famous for their famous popular scent Old Spice, which is sold till this day. And this was definitely worn by her, and the Chanel fragrance, which, like I said, I'm not sure if it was 25, 22, or number 5, but definitely a Chanel scent she also wore in the mid 50s, um, according to the picture and the bottle on or the bottles on her vanity. So there you have Schulten's Friendship Garden. Now, if you are a Lucy fan, I highly recommend going on eBay, swiping up one of these bottles before they're gone. They're very inexpensive, under $30, and it's a very, very rare, pretty, unique fragrance that she definitely wore. And I guess that's it. I would like to dedicate this video to Lucille Ball and to all of her fans that still love Lucy as I do. And with that, I'd like to close. I will see you guys in my next video to come very soon. Bye-bye.